Hi, good morning, folks. Today I'll be talking about trucking companies. The point I'm trying to make here is the way this algorithm has been designed, it has its own intelligence capability. We have spent a lot of hours and months together to make sure that it's trained to do what it is expected. So for now, the way I look at it is once it looks into a data set, it automatically knows what it is it all about, where the slippages could be. But there are still areas which still needs to be further drilled down. You will notice in the demos which I'm doing, after it gives the initial report, it also gives us suggested KPIs. So that means it is sensing something in the data which we don't know yet, but giving us a clue that this needs to be further investigated. So if you come across those type of situation, you're better off to look into it, figure out what the problem is, why the problem is surfacing, so that you can have a permanent fix to it. So I will try and see if I can bring over again. I'm pulling over some sample data for a trucking company this time. And once I do that, let's see how the algorithm behaves. Okay, so let me do this first. So let me try and see if I can bring in the data set first. Just 1 minute. Yeah, I think I have the data set. It's on the next machine. I mean on the next monitor. So I bring that in. It looks like it's a data set for a trucking company, 1,000 records. But always keep in mind that the CSV file which you will be looking at, it should not exceed 50 MB. 50 MB is a lot of data. But remember, what we do through our websites or what is there in our website, you're looking at, just to give you an idea, you're looking at something in the range of 30 to 90 days. Okay, so this is what we are actually looking for. We want to mitigate the risk which is in that range. So you don't need past 7 years data. I'm just giving a scenario for you to understand that in order to look into 30 to 90 days data set, of course, if it is a daily data set, the signals will be much more appropriate. So when you get CSV files for further investigation with machine learning capabilities, try and see you have daily based data. Okay, you having data like weekly based and all, maybe it's possible, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know exactly how the machine will behave. But in my research, it's mostly to do with daily data, and then you will get a much clearer visibility of what the problem is in the data set. So having said that, so let me see, and the other part of it is without accessing the client data. So you will notice that I'm not looking into client data at all. Okay. So what it is doing is you will be looking into the data set. Let me see if I can bring the data set again. Yeah. So this is the data set. Now we are not telling the machine that what it is looking at. We have just given a CSV file. So this is very important for the consumers who will be using this intelligence. You don't have to baby feed the algorithm. Okay. You just come up with your data set. The data set can come from any source system. So far, it is a CSV file. It is good enough. Try to keep it on a daily basis when you're looking into data. If you see a date, where is the date? Now, here it's not a daily basis data, but you could have had a daily based data, but I will try. Oh, no, no, you do. So, I'm sorry. You have a trip date, which is going by the date, and it looks like it's not daily. Okay, maybe it's every whatever it is. So, in case in your organization, if you have daily based data, that will be the ideal data set to look at. But again, on the CSP side of it, you could get data set coming from point of sales, you could get data set coming from ERP system, you could get data set coming from uh, QuickBooks, Sage. You can have financial data. It doesn't really matter the way this algorithm has been designed. It does not really matter. It has its own inbuilt intelligence to figure out what's going on and how we can handle that type of CSV file. But if you still have problems, because it's, as you know, it's an ongoing research, right? If you still have problems, you gave a data set for a doctor and you're getting something else, please refer that case to, because you'll be the best judge, right? You once I see your this pattern of your CSV file and see that this machine is not able to read it properly, please let me know so that I make sure that the training is done correctly, inclusive of whatever scenarios you're coming with. Okay, so that will be a great help if you can come across scenarios where it is not recognizing your data set at all. So this is a type of a disclaimer I think any machine learning vendors would probably pass it on to you, because there is a concept of training, right? Once you keep training, you keep training, you keep training, it gets matured every day. So the same is with the machine. So let's see what happens, but just a disclaimer. So this is the data set we'll look at. We have no clue if there is a slippage here. Another very important point. So when you are pushing a CSV file with data, at least we human beings have no clue what is going on in this data. Okay, so this is a very, very important point which you have to remember, that this is not a human capability which we are looking at. We are looking at into some extraordinary capability of a machine to leverage, I mean, use that extraordinary capability to come and tell us what we should be looking for in the data set going forward and how we fix it. Because this ERP systems or anything, when you talk about point of sales in I mean, any data set, I had been in this industry for almost 20, 30 years now, right? So when you're developing an ERP solution, typically if you're looking into transaction level data, you just make sure that the debit and credit ties up, but it doesn't tell you that the debit and credit should be what. That should be is an operational issue, and how you handle that is an operational issue. But a lot of times the balances are done with the debit and credit or plus and minus and those type of things on a ERP system, right? So there is always an internal balance which is happening, but that is not leakage. Those are internal controls. Okay, so the point which I'm trying to make here is we are looking into abnormality, but that is a very important point which I'm trying to make, that we are looking into abnormality and we want to identify what that abnormality is, and we want to fix it from that CSV file so that going forward this problem doesn't happen. But keep in mind, this problems, whatever we see, has to be fixed before the month end, because otherwise the P&L will pick it up and we will be reporting a loss. So no matter what, you have to fix these issues before uh, the P&L, the data moves to P&L. Once it goes to P&L, it's a compliance problem. It is not an operational problem. And that's where CPAs and all those guys get involved. But when it is not, till it reaches that point, it is an operational issue. A lot of people don't understand that, but I'm trying to emphasize on the point that what you're seeing here is operational data. It's not financial. It's an operational problem which we are trying to identify, not um, compliance related problem with profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flows, and fund flows, and so on and so forth. So completely different uh, ball game. Focuses are completely different. Okay, compliance is compliance. We cannot go. We cannot avoid it. But there is nothing as such which tells you that you need to control your losses. Right? I wish there was an institution which does the benchmarking. It says that okay, if you have a loss, you report it, but how you control it, there's no such school currently. But maybe in future, I'm not sure. With machine learning capabilities, maybe those type of institutions will also probably come up. But here we usually do benchmarking with the industry standards. If you are doing good or bad, we will do benchmarking mostly with the industry standards. And you'll get to see it as you go deeper into the reports of the deflection which is happening. You will notice that we are doing a lot to do with industry standards. So, having said that, I don't want to talk more about on the CSP part, but at least you get an idea. So let's try and see if we can do that. So we'll go to self-service, and from self-service we will see if we can pick this guy up. We'll see if we can try this scan, and which brings me to a scanner which is called universal scanner. And now here I will be putting in my email address. So people who have you need to register first. So please make sure you register. Make sure that the make sure the registration with the email address you use is same as in Stripe, because when you pay, if your email address is different versus the email address is different here, it will not accept it. Okay, so it will give a bigger problem. So make sure that your email address which you provide is the same which is used in your payment gateway. Otherwise, authentication will fail. So keep that in mind. In my case, since I'm the administrator, it treats me a little differently, okay? Because I'm a privileged guy, so it doesn't charge me anything and all those type of things. So it is validating me with a PIN. But in your case, it will validate you with your email address. It will figure out how much you have paid and for which slippages you are looking at. So you get two different flavors. Here we might get the slippages, all the slippages, and then we got to select because as I'm an administrator. But in your case also, you will get to see all the slippages, and then you decide how many slippages you will be tackling. So there's slight difference, but it's self-explanatory. So once I put in my PIN and then start the scan, so it'll ask you to load that CSV file. Remember, the file which CSV file which we were talking about is something which I'll be loading now for the tracking, and I think I have it here. I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh, where is it? I'm not sure. Give me a minute. Oh yeah, it's over here. So this is the tracking demo data. I pick this up. As soon as I pick up it, it will identify what the problem is, and hopefully it will also tell me that it's a tracking related data. Let's see what it does. Okay. There you go. So within a second, I get an answer. I wish humans could work at that speed. So now let's look at it. Uh, Strictly based on the columns, for this is the name of the column it is looking at, and no, nothing here is invented. Every item is an exact column based on the thing, based on pick the ones you want to look at into further detail. So it is giving me a lot of reds. Okay, so it has found issues, and seems like it has got 6 issues. So the first issue is inventory shrinkage. Okay, so now when you are looking into inventory shrinkage, the revenue and sales column per size dollar exposed to the business. So invoice variances and USD. So basically, it is looking into something like an invoice variance, and I'm not sure where it is looking at invoice variance. Yes. So I think it's looking somewhere here. It found something here. Okay. So problem, because it's a dollar amount. The second thing which he found is price leakage, fuel cost USD. We don't know what it is looking because it's a machine, right? We don't know, but we are just validating that yes, this fuel cost is also in my CSV file. So let me see if I have fuel cost here. There you go. I have fuel cost here. So that means it is looking into the right stuff. So this is the way you validate your data. Then we'll go into further details as to what it's finding. Okay. Then on the customer concentration risk, it is looking into customer ID, and I have no idea as to what it is looking at, but we do have customer ID. I think so. Yeah, we do have customer ID. Good. So this is the way you know that you are looking into data set which is referring to some of the columns which you have provided as a CSV file. So the point again is that could come from anywhere. It could come from ERP system, it could come from point of sale system, it could come from a financial system like general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, whatever those are, it doesn't matter. You have to do this exercise just to make sure that you are looking into the right set of data. Invoice amount USD and invoice variance USD. So you look into this invoice amount USD, that is here, I guess, and the unit variance USD. So once you know that it's looking into the right data set, that means you're okay. Now, what is happening inside this data is completely machine learning capability. Okay, so humans cannot find it. I mean, if I'm looking into these two data, what am I looking? How? What do I make out of it? Right. So we cannot do that. But we do I mean, balancing from debit and credit is has to be saved. Those type of things, as I said, financial books will show it, but operational data will not show those type of things. Okay, I hope I'm making my point very clear here that it's a process of looking into the data set slightly differently, and you need a machine to do it. You cannot do it on your own. So that is a valid data. So now the second option here is, so these are six issues. In my case, I can generate all of them. But in your case, typically, the way this model is designed is you go based on where you find urgent. But looks like everything is red, right? So your data set is probably pretty messed up. Although it's a sample which I'm using, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Your data set is messed up. So now once you have that, say you can clear all or select all. So let's do it this way: clear all and select one, two, three. So I know that if I select these four, I have, and I'm be paying $49 per selection. So I'll be paying around $147. Okay. Next time I will do the rest of it. The way this model is, the way this app is designed, if you pay for the first one and second one and third one, you have to use it up within a month. So you have time. But if you don't use it, probably you lose that money. But it is expected that you whatever you are paying for, you use it within a month. So now let's try this three, and those are the three which I'll be looking at, and I'll run the algorithm and trigger the machine learning capabilities. So it's now looking into machine learning capabilities and it's analyzing those three which I have selected. So folks, please, I'm doing videos in different sections that I have a lot of videos to plan and talks as I proceed, but it's very difficult to write. But as you listen to my presentation, make a note of it. Okay. So now let's look at the data set, what it is looking at. There you go. So on the report, it is seeing on its own that it detected it's something to do with transportation. Remember, we in the last time we didn't talk about transportation because we didn't go through the AI capabilities, machine learning capabilities. But now it seems like it does. It knows that it's something to do with transportation. The data set contains blah 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 columns, and therefore it knows that it's very likely it's going to be a transportation. Point number one. Point number two is you look into the executive summary of what is the option, what are the options it found, operational efficiency, potential financial vulnerability with the transportation business, and so on and so forth. So transportation is a very important component as of today. because right now we are in June 10th. We are in the middle of Middle East war. Maybe you will be looking this video when the war is over, everything is over, all good. But right now you are in the middle of war. So people, businesses who are into transportation, who are into warehousing, might find a lot of slippages in those areas where it has to do with fuel cost, energy cost, storage cost, those type of things. Okay, so I would expect a pretty heavy cost and slippages to the point in these type of industry. Trucking company. Right now we are in the middle of a war in Middle East. Lot of uncertainties are there. So sometimes your shipments are stuck for many days, weeks, months, as you already know. But you might also get into a situation where this video is pretty old. There is no issue with the war. Everything is solved. Everything is back to normal. So it could be any. But I'm telling you that your sensitivity of your data has to do with the conditions elsewhere. I don't know how else I could explain this, but especially in transportation, you will probably see that there is a lot to do with freight, lot to do with storage, lot to do with routing of shipments and all those things, which the machine learning will figure it out for you. Okay, so if you ask the right questions, probably it will give you the right answers. There may be certain routes which could be cheaper, and you can probably ask the machine to help you out. So as you see that it is first looking into invoice variance due to potential inventory shrinkage. So now you will know that likely root cause is error in billing, unrecorded damages, administrative mistakes, actual cargo shrinkage, and so on and so forth. Remember, we were looking into the CSV files. There's nothing we could figure out, but this guy could, which we humans cannot. That's exactly what I'm trying to nail down to. When we are looking at the CSV file, there's no way we could have figured out what could be the root cause. But in machine learning, this is a capability. So I want all the executives, especially the executives, to look into this portion. Just from a CSV point of view or naked eyes, you will not be able to figure out the problem. But only with the machine learning capabilities, you will be able to figure out the problem. So now what is a recommended action? Implement a rigorous reconciliation process between actual cargo delivered and invoice amount. So all these good things has to happen before the month end. Please, if you don't, compliance will automatically, the financial reports will automatically kick in at the end of the month, and all the losses which is happening in this area will get booked. Okay, so please look into it. I'm just holding this video for a while, for a few seconds, so that you can read it or you can pause it on YouTube and look through this possibilities that, okay, what are the things I need to do. The second thing which I mentioned about is benchmarking. The machine usually would be benchmarking with the industry it is referring to. Okay, so that is another indicator for you to look into it and then go deeper into the subject. The third point, the second point, remember we selected three of those. So here we get into excessive fuel costs indicating pricing leakage. You see, I was just telling you before I even spoke about it. Right now with the war condition going on and all those type of things, this is expected. Leakages from fuel, leakages from warehousing, leakages from insurance cost. Right, the insurance cost will go high, skyrocket, especially for shipments coming in out from Middle East. People, the insurance cost will be like crazy. So it is expected things will go wrong there. So as an executive, you need to figure out what is going wrong, how and where is it going wrong, and how I can mitigate the problem. Okay, so please, and you'll get evidences of data and all those things which the machine learning has done for you. So now, as I said, from the normal CSV file, it is not visible. So I think we have selected one more. Then we have customer concentration risk. Remember, there were 7 or 10. I can't remember how many of those were there, but we have selected the first three. So here also customer concentration risk. It is looking into over reliance on small number of key clients can expose the business to significant revenue volatility if any of these customers reduce their volume to or switch providers. So recommended action is also there, but as I said that it's a dummy data, but in your case you will know exactly your business, you will know exactly what it is saying, what it is recommending, and then you follow the steps as to what it is asking you to do. In this case, I know I'm using a sample data, so I won't be very sure what it identified because it is not my baby, it's not my data set. But if you are your if it's your company, your data set, basically it is your baby, so you exactly know what was the root cause and how it happened, and then how you fix the problem. So this is what you get out of this. So I'm holding it here, you can, so that you can read it. So generally these reports will give you a very accurate result. And then methodology is the report provides a risk sizing estimate. So there's a certain methodology the algorithm will go through. It look into the visual intelligence of money leaking, um, uh, leak risk scores, and so on and so forth. Top numeric columns, minimum, mean, and max speed. So it's finding out all the other data points which could be relevant, and then it should be looking into KPIs. There you go. I remember I was telling you to look into additional KPIs. So you look into different other data set areas which it found, but it is not showing in this report. So you have to get in touch with me to figure out that, okay, revenue per trip. I have to ask that question to the model, telling you that, okay, you know what, these are the different types of scenarios we are identifying from that data set. Give me further instruction as to what I should be doing. So basically, I'll be further drilling down into the model which the algorithm has looked into, and then further deep dives into that. Okay, so it's a correlated. If you just ask a question like this, you'll never get a right answer. But now that it knows what the problem is, it is telling me what are the areas you would need to see and how you can improve it. So this is an additional area which will not be covered in that report which you are seeing, but it is asking us to take a look at it. Okay, so please keep that in mind. And this is again, these are all slippages, so our charges are always the same. But if we have to develop separately something which is not there, again, our charges are $150 an hour, provided we have sufficient people backing us up in India with all the development work. Otherwise, if it is a straightforward stuff which needs to be done, then maybe I can help you with that. Okay, please get in touch accordingly. Now we have the column mapping. All these maps, columns are mapped and all the stuff. We don't have to worry about it. Remember, this is the source which we were looking at. So these are all the source which comes in the form of um, a report here. And then we also finally look into the audit trail. We look into all the audit trail, and you'll see that what it is looking at, what is the mean sum, all the statistical information. Maybe it might not make sense to you. And then we get all the statistical information from an audit trail. So having said that, now if you further need any connection, if you need to contact me with this type of report, you can do that. And at the same time, this demo gives you a PDF. I think somewhere you can see that you can download it into a PDF. So once you click here, I hope it does that. Let's do it here again. I think I got it here. And I look into the PDF download. Beautiful. So I got a very nice report on PDF download for that particular file. So you can circulate this with all your folks, and then you can probably, these are the only two or three I think it looked at, because we didn't select all of those, but you have a lot more, right? So it's the model is something like pay as you go, right? But remember, this will only be there for a month. So after a month, again, you might have to redo the whole thing. So it makes a lot of sense because data is changing. Operational data will change. So it makes a lot of sense as to scenarios will change, right? So you have to make sure that you go with time on this. So you get all those reports, and you get all the reports on PDF and all those things. You can circulate it, and then once you make a decision, then you come back and choose those whatever you have selected. Which in my case I can go in right away, but in your case you have to choose it, and then you'll be landing into Stripe. The Stripe will then start talking about the slippages which you have picked up. It's just a payment gateway. You make the payment, and then as soon as you make the payment, say assuming that you close it and you want to come back the next day or after 2 days or after the holidays are over, make sure that you note the report ID. It's very important. This will give you a report ID. Please write it somewhere, because it is very important to know the report ID, and then you're good. Once you have the report ID, then you will notice that here I'm running. I ran the first one, which I just explained. Now, when you run the second one, once you have the report ID, you just continue with the report ID here, and then you put in your report number, and then you continue with that. For ones which you have already paid, you please proceed. So I hope I made myself very clear. If you still have further questions, please ask. But I think it is something which all companies need to look at. Okay, because sometimes we feel $49, but sometimes who knows? Say $5,000 is sitting on one slippage, which will get locked in next 5 days when the month ends, right? You don't want that situation. So I don't want to emphasize on that point more, but there are a lot of slippages which can happen, and we humans don't get to see them. So let me conclude this meeting here. Conclude this presentation. If you further have questions, please get in touch with me. Thank you.